has been able to meet many extremely creative, faithful, faith-driven, expert people. I'm just always amazed when I have been out to talk to community groups, faith groups, government officials, faith-based offices at what comes into their minds and then what they put into practice. So I'm just really excited about all that. Really happy you're all here. I want to give a special tribute as part of this conference to two people who have been working at this for many years, John Dilulio and Ben O'Dell. So I'll say something about the two of them, and then I'm going to give them each a copy of my account of the Faith-Based Initiative. You saw them out on the table there. I think you can take one before you go home. John helped me get started on telling that story. Thank you. And the center helped me work through that. And I try to bring that up through into this administration. So what's same, different, pitfalls, lessons learned, and I hope you'll find that really helpful. But just 2 words about these two people, and I want to say that there are many others in this room who have been faithful over many years. So the fact that I'm singling them out doesn't mean I don't see you too. The Faith-Based Initiative is not only about faith, it's also about better results, the more effective use of federal resources, respect for constitutional principles, and a lot more. But it is certainly about faith and how faith can inspire and guide and produce genuine good for society. So as a theme for my few remarks about to honor John Dilulio and Ben O'Dell, I'd like to use a phrase from the late Protestant pastor, writer, and Bible translator Eugene Peterson. Peterson wrote a celebrated book about Christian discipleship called A Long Obedience in the Same Direction. Following God is a matter not of momentary enthusiasm, but of consistent obedience over decades and through changing circumstances. And when I think of both John and Ben, it is this idea of a long and consistent commitment that comes to my mind. And by the way, that's also what comes to my mind and when I think of Dave Donaldson, that I've worked with over the years, and Melissa Rogers, with whom I had conversations about these things way back in the very beginning, and we worked through a lot of differences and so on. So I want to acknowledge all that. And Adele Banks, who always asked these great questions and was always there when something important was happening. John is an author, researcher, mentor, professor, program innovator, and much more. Just Google his name, and you will tire from reading about his widespread activities. But I want to emphasize 3 things. First, although an academic in Ivy League circles, he has devoted much of his great energy and creativity to research and action on behalf of the least, the lost, and the left behind. Second, although a Catholic in background and practice, although an evangelical Catholic, he has been a friend and partner with many evangelical Protestants, not least the late Chuck Colson, the evangelical prison reformer who was previously a vicious political operative for President Richard Nixon. And his life got changed, and John talked with him, and I think that helped change John's life. Third, although a lifelong Democrat with many connections in the party, he has worked extensively, as you've heard, also with Republican politicians, including notably President George W. Bush. So I want to thank you, John, for 2 things. First, for mentoring and encouraging me and drawing me into the President Bush's White House Office of Faith-Based and Community Initiatives and into the world of applied policy. I'd done a lot of research, written a lot of papers, thought a lot. I got to actually do some hands-on work, which is very different. For one thing, you can't wait until you're ready with an answer. People think if you don't say anything, that's the government's answer. So that was pretty nerve-wracking. Second, and especially I want to thank him for his many initiatives and discussions with fellow Democrats and with progressive academics over many years to encourage them not to write off the Faith-Based Initiative as a Republican plot, but to think really seriously about the importance of religion in society and the importance of supporting the Faith-Based Initiative. So thank you, John, for breaking with so many conventions in order to be of such great service. I'll invite you up in just a second. Ben O'Dell is a senior policy advisor in the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. That's what your LinkedIn profile says. The Faith Center, the Faith Center at HHS is the most robust of the dozen agency faith-based centers that work with their agencies because HHS gives out a lot of money and has a lot of programs. Ben has been a key figure in the HHS Center for more than 20 years, serving under Presidents Bush, Obama, Biden, and twice under President Trump. And that's a lot of years of commitment to helping this key federal agency take faith and community seriously, a very long obedience in the same direction, to use Eugene Peterson's words. While John Dilulio labored long to keep the good of the faith-based initiative in front of academics and Democratic politicians, Ben has labored long to make the principles and vision of the faith-based initiative have effect within the federal government, at HHS and many other agencies. That requires listening to and taking seriously the concerns of officials and dialoguing with them about how to redesign their programs and grant making to become more helpful to those needing help, in part by partnerships. And then I want to name two other essential forms of his service to this nation. First, he has made it his mission to be the bridge and the missionary from the federal faith-based initiative to state and local officials who also work on these things. And you heard some of that with Pastor Monroe's. He hosts a monthly Zoom call with those officials, some from red states and cities, some from blue and purple states and cities, so they can learn from each other and know also about federal policy, how it's developing, and how they can best connect with federal resources and developments. That's indispensable. Second, Ben has the most amazing and immense set of connections with organizations, both religious and non-religious, that are busy in their neighborhoods to serve others. He knows them and what they're trying to do and what is innovative and effective. It's an amazing, I don't know, not just a Rolodex, but it has all this data, connections, information. He knows what they're doing, and he's constantly connecting them with each other and with state, federal, and local officials who seek to improve the effectiveness of government services. So it's an amazing service. So I want to thank you, Ben, for your decades of service to the public good by not sticking to your job description, but instead enlarging your scope of work in this way. So John and Ben, if you come up. So when I was writing the story, of course, I had to mention them a lot. And in the book, you will find some tributes from some other friends and people that have been influenced by you. So I hope you enjoy seeing those. And thank you so much for your service over the many, many years.